What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. I'm deep in the desert, as you can tell on YouTube. There's a cactus behind me. I'm not in my friend's apartment. I'm in the conference room of his apartment complex. I don't even really know how to
Building?
understand it. It's 95 degrees in here. They have no AC running in a state that is currently 110 degrees outside. It's blowing my mind. But Mets somehow win this series from the Diamondbacks. And yet the season feels over for some people. I don't know. We'll talk about everything that went on. It was a chaotic series from start to finish. There was just ups and downs, left and rights, and a lot of things to talk about. As always, you guys know the drill. If you are enjoying what you're listening to and watching over here, make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see our pretty faces and my friendly cactus plant that's in the background. And if you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. James, I told you the weather out here. It's a brisk 110. The sun is hurting my skin. It is so hot. How's it in New York? I'd love to get a little jealous for once in my life about New York weather.
Well, Wednesday was like classic New York August, just humid, hot, 95, like just sweat all day. But today, the humidity broke a little bit in the city. A little 73 with the breeze. I listened to the end of the Mets game in my hammock, the beautiful sounds of Keith Radd and Pat McCarthy taking me home for Jose Iglesias' game-winning hit. I feel pretty good. We talked a lot last night because we were just so dejected. I'm sure many of you guys were. Like, we're going to have to start there, and then we'll get to the good stuff. But just the way the Mets lost. I hate to talk about the loss because we'll talk about the wins, maybe just to get the loss out of the way, because now I think things feel a lot better than it did. But when Edwin Díaz gave up the home run to Corbin Carroll, I sat in my living room and I stared at the wall. I wasn't even watching TV anymore. I was like staring at the wall above my television, probably for 25 straight minutes. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have any water. I didn't have anything. I was just staring at the wall, just thinking about the Mets and being so dejected and so sad. And they brought it all back. Every time we're out, they pull us back in every single time this year. It's so fucking stupid.
For context, for people who don't know what's going on, I am in Arizona. I went to the games. I was there Wednesday night, and I was trying to accomplish with the boys, shout out Dalton, shout out Co, or let me stay at their apartment, the 999 challenge. And for those of you who are not aware, that is 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, 9 innings of baseball. Now, I tapped out on the 9 hot dogs instantly. My Crohn's stomach cannot handle that. But I did the 9 beers and 9 innings. Co and Dalton, 9 beers, 9 hot dogs like kings. They got it done easily, no problem. So we're in the 8th inning. Edwin Díaz comes in for Phil Maton, which maybe pulled the plug on Phil Maton a little early. Maybe. I don't know.
We'll get to all of it. Tell the story, then we'll just talk about baseball.
Tell the story. And there's an Instagram story from Co, and he posted it, and it's me clapping because I'm pumped. I'm like, Díaz has got this. We're going to get through this, no problem, to Corbin Carroll. As soon as he turns away from me, you hear the crack of the bat. Corbin Carroll hits a nuke. Everybody's freaking out. You see me head in my hands, face in my hands, whatever it is.
Sure.
And devastated. And at that moment, I truly believed that the Mets series or season in general was over. That was one of the low points of the season, one of the low points in a long time, especially for Edwin Díaz, who has not been himself this year. We know that. Come back from a major injury. Hasn't been as sharp as he had, but he had some pretty good performances.
A good month
up until the Padres game. And now this one on top of that, I really at that point started to lose faith. That felt like the nail in the coffin. That felt like twisting the knife, especially with the fact that the fucking Atlanta Braves will not lose. And fuck Rocco Baldelli for botching every single game possible. That guy is a major loser manager. But regardless, need some help from the Braves too. But at that moment, it just felt like the Mets were not going to be able to do anything. Felt like the season was going to be over. Felt like they were going to disappoint today on Thursday. Just felt like they were going to come out flat. But luckily, that's not the case. Point in case here about that game. Terrible, awful. The storylines to talk about there is just the fact that this bullpen really has an inability to get big outs and just continues to walk everybody, and it's infuriating.
I fully, and maybe I'm missing the point, maybe I'm focused on the wrong things, I fully could not believe when Carlos Mendoza came out of the dugout to pull Phil Maton for Edwin Díaz. And not saying that Edwin shouldn't be tasked with 4-out saves, and not saying that Phil Maton's this world beater who has to finish the inning, like he's this star setup man. He's not. He throws 88 miles an hour. There's no reason. But Edwin Díaz hasn't completed a 4-out save in a full month, since July. I think it was the day either before or after the trade deadline, the Twin Series. And I think he only has 5 or 6 appearances this season where he's got more than 3 outs. So why in the world, with Luis Guillorme and then Geraldo Perdomo, then Pavin Smith DHing, and a man on first and 2 guys out, and he didn't even give a real answer for it in the press conference, why the fuck, in that second, you're like, I need Edwin Díaz in the game right now to do something he hasn't done in a month. I don't get it. And not saying he shouldn't be able to do that more, because Edwin Díaz was
Correct.
his best years ago. He was doing that all the time. It was totally fine. It wasn't a big deal. It just happened because it was happening. And also, like, let's say the man was on second. Let's say Corbin Carroll was up right now. Let's say Jock Peterson was up. Like, let's just say there was a better hitter due up than our guy Luis Quiorme, then eventually Pavin Smith, and a man in scoring position, like a man on first with 2 outs and the 8 hitter at the plate. To me, this isn't a moment for alarm bells. I need to make a pitching change right
No,
now.
not at all.
It did seem like part of the issue was that Edwin didn't seem particularly warm, which we've seen
No.
happen a few times this year because he kept missing on his arm side. His mechanics were all out of whack. I think truthfully, it was one of the worst appearances of any pitcher in the history of baseball, given context, to have walked the 8 and 9 hitters who objectively suck at hitting,
Stink.
to allow a red hot Corbin Carroll, who I know he's had a bad year, so people I think are underrating him, but someone who's probably borderline superstar in the game, who already in this game hit a 440-foot home run, and the day before hit a 430-foot home run. So those two things that happened in the last 24 hours. To walk those two guys, to load the bases, to then give up a grand slam. It was, in the words of Martin Scorsese, it was pure cinema. I've never seen something that bad. But I can't get past the point. Mendoza didn't even really answer it. Why the fuck that happened?
No, it was one of the few times that Mendoza was not actually very accountable, it felt like, for what he did, or really upfront in answering what the decision-making process was behind that. Because, like you said, in the moment, yes, Edwin Díaz is the better pitcher than Phil Maton. But Maton really wasn't in trouble. Like, it was one at bat. It was one batter that he let on. And I don't think, like, I get it, it was a one-run game, Monday morning quarterback, hindsight's 2020. But the bottom of the order, if Phil Maton can't handle that, he shouldn't be on this team. He's your 8th inning guy. It's not like you had Adam Ottavino out there, and all of a sudden he walked 4 guys, and the tying run is up at the plate. Phil Maton's been really good for this bullpen, and to me, that felt like Carlos Mendoza, and maybe you can vouch on this too, see what your opinion was. This felt like because he didn't do that against the Padres in the last series, he was now trying to make up for it now by being uber aggressive. And you were right, Edwin was so not ready. I mean, he snuck into this game. People in the ballpark were kind of like, whoa, Edwin Díaz is coming in right now. Like, it caught everybody by surprise. And by the way that he looked on the mound, I mean, that, like you said, one of the worst appearances we've seen in a long time. Walking Pavin Smith on 4 pitches is unacceptable. For lack of a better term, that guy is dog shit. He's horrendous. Diamondbacks fans
round pick.
Hate the fact that he is on this roster. It is a huge talking point for the fans out here in Arizona that Torey Lovullo keeps trying to make Pavin Smith work when it's never worked his entire life. He's been terrible. And then Geraldo Perdomo, which, just a little aside, the fact that he sometimes hits leadoff and sometimes hits 9th is insane. I like Torey Lovullo as a manager. There's not a world where that ever makes any sense, where your best hitter can also be your worst hitter in the same regards. I don't get that. But to walk him too, and the at-bat, like, Edwin was just not attacking. He was not aggressive. And Edwin is at his best when he's attacking the zone, when he's filling up the strike zone with fastballs, and then he can use that slider to feed off of it. And it just wasn't happening. And even that slider at Corbin Carroll was like just right down the middle, dropped it right into his bat.
The same thing as Jackson Merrill.
Literally exact same pitch. And it was like, when we're in the stretch here where we can't afford to lose games, even though, again, we won the series, these are things that we need from Edwin Díaz to be better than. And now, again, I was at the game on Thursday. Edwin looked better. Was he actually better? Did things look better on TV? Because obviously in the stands, it's a little bit different.
I listened to the last inning on the radio, last few innings on the radio, like I said, because I just was like, I'm going to go in my hammock at the park. I'm just not going to think about this shit, because that was so dejected from everything that happened on Wednesday. But the thing that he did, I think that was really important, I think says a lot about where he is right now, is that they're all fastballs. 17 of his 18 pitches were fastballs, and most of them were in the strike zone. I think that is, again, I truthfully think he came in this game and he was not ready. And I don't know if you could notice it for being in the stands, but Carlos Mendoza's body language, the second that he came out to get Edwin, he looked like he was in a rush. Like it was an anxious walk. Like he popped out of the dugout. And I thought maybe it was just because Eugenio Suarez hit a fly ball to the warning track. But it wasn't even that he got that well. He hit it to the opposite field. He put a good ride into it, but it wasn't like, it felt like, it looked like the body language that Buck Showalter showed when Mookie Betts hit the foul ball off David Peterson 2 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what reminded me of the way his shoulders, the way he was like walking out. He was like, I gotta do it. And I do think he was chasing the fact that he didn't do it the game before. But again, this is also kind of the part of what we talked about Mendoza this year, where it's like he's always pushing the right buttons, always pushing the right buttons, always pushing the right buttons. But now there's a point of the year where maybe process is more important than pushing the right buttons, because pushing the right buttons at the end of the day, like, it's feel, it's luck, it's a combination of those things. maybe sometimes just do the right thing. And also shout out to me for the classic jinx because Justin Martinez did blow the game for the Diamondbacks on
It's
Thursday. So
unbelievable.
every series I'm able to
It's
do this. I'm
incredible.
able to find a win for this team. So I'm going to just keep working at it. But it was such a fucking bizarre moment. I think it left me, you, every other Mets fan just stunned and stupefied. I think that was exasperated by the way they've handled the Deadnail Nunez situation,
Yeah, what
where
the fuck?
he pitched the other day, then they say he was unavailable with forearm tightness. Then this morning they say he's available today. Then 2 minutes before the game, they put him in the IL and played this game one man down. So like I think that was, we give David Stearns a lot of credit, especially for this his roster management, his player operations. I think this was the first real fuck up they've had this year with that, where we're all looking and being like, how could you guys have messed this up this royally?
Here's what I'll say to defend David Stearns to the end is that feels like a miscommunication thing
Definitely,
between
yeah,
the manager, the front office, and whatever's going on with the training staff, because David Stearns can't just have a guy ready to go. If
yeah. He's
everyone's
not
telling him
there.
he's going to
Yeah.
be fine, he's going to be fine. And it seems like the Mets and Mendoza and the
Well,
training staff, whatever it is, we're trying their best to make sure as long, like until the last possible moment, do we have Deadnail Nunez? Because he looked amazing in the last time he came out. He looked so
yeah.
awesome. We know how valuable he is to this team. But in the same regard, having a man down is way worse than just trying to guess if Deadnail Nunez is healthy or not.
I think you're allowed to carry guys that aren't active with the team, but it also could be a thing of Daniel Nunez like not wanting to tell them he's still hurt because
Correct.
like Mendoza said he's not recovering right after he pitched that inning. So that could have been that day. Daniel Nunez has been like, I don't think I can pitch. Like I feel something. They're like, all right, shit. But it was. Now I think we're gonna put this to bed the first 10 minutes of the episode, then talk about the good things in the series because this was actually a tremendous series for the Mets.
Weirdly,
and it weirdly put it's just it hurts because we could be right now riding a wicked 5-game win streak. Like we could be cruising right now. We could be busting right now. Like we could be one of the hottest teams in the league right now, having just taken down 2 of the best teams in the National League. So now the problem is these 2 games, it kills that, but you still see all of the remnants of the team that could have won all 5 of those games. So then it becomes, I don't know, it becomes everything that we've said this whole year. It's fucking bittersweet. It's like a step forward and a step back the whole time. They can't string enough together, which probably just comes back to the same shit we've said the whole time. This is a fucking 84-win baseball team. That's exactly what it is.
About
but
to say it.
Again, before we put it away, it's just, I imagine if you told a Mets fan in May that we're a Deadnail Nunez forearm strain away from having just swept the best team in the National League. Like that's how it felt. It's stupid, but it's fucking true.
Yeah, I mean, again, bittersweet word of the podcast for the last month and a half. It feels like we've been using it left and right. But at the end of the day, as bad as it was Wednesday, they did come out on Thursday. They came back. They played really good baseball. They showed up, and this is loser talk, but we have to talk about it because it's also not. They came out and then won. They won 2 of 3 from the hottest team in baseball. And this road trip, it's so funny. It's exactly what we said it was going to be. They won 4 and they lost 3. This was exactly what nobody wanted to hear about this road trip. It actually didn't matter at all. They're exactly where they were when they started. They're not any worse. They're not any better. This team is still on the outside looking in. But they did make some ground on the teams ahead of the Braves, even though that's not really realistic. But at the same time, like I'm more frustrated than mad about what happened because we had 2 games that we could have won and we could have added and we didn't. And like you said, this is probably just because, sorry, we're just not that good. We're an 84, 85 win team like we've been saying since February, since we stopped working for the team. Newsflash, team's okay. Not great, not bad.
Just fine.
They're just fine, and maybe they'll get hot. We haven't had that stretch recently. We had it a little bit earlier in the year. But I'm not in a spot where I was last night, where I was fully. I mean, we were talking this morning. We were talking about how you said, what was it? Shout out to the Mets for being 48 hours away from Ohio State football. Like that's the best they could have done was just bridge the gap as little as possible. And for me, I'm like, dude, I can't wait to watch South Carolina play Old Dominion. Like that's really going to be a great game. Now I feel a little bit different having watched the win on Thursday.
Totally. And then we were talking about what team Edwin Díaz is going to play for next year because David Stearns can't wait to get rid of that contract any second.
I still fully believe he's going to do that. Today didn't change that feeling.
And I fully believe that Edwin Díaz is still totally fine. I think Edwin Díaz, wherever he goes, he's going to be a good. Even if he's a Met again next year, I think he's totally fine. I think I've looked at numbers a lot today, and then this will be finally put this to bed and just talk about the good stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
The biggest problem with Edwin Díaz right now is he's not had really good consistency with his release points. If you check his release points by month, you check 2022 and 2024, and this is something he was even 222, but he was so electric it didn't matter. He just oscillates a lot. Like he just is start to start his struggles with his consistency. And I bet a lot of that comes this year, especially from the struggles with the leg, and maybe that leg not being as strong as it could possibly be because he tore the largest tendon in his knee, and we've almost never seen a pitcher with this kind of explosion do that. And two, he's just not able to locate that slider.
No.
Corbin Carroll and Jackson Merrill, they hit those sliders belt high on the tee, way over the fence. Where if you look back to his locations in 2022, he was burying that a little bit more and putting that on the lower and outside corner. So it's just, and then again, it's just missing with the fastball, throwing more of those fastballs outside the strike zone relative to before. Before having the confidence being like, I'm throwing 101, he almost seemed to have like the Tyler Glasnow thing where I'm setting up down the middle. Wherever this goes, I don't give a fuck because you're not hitting it. And now he thinks a little bit more he has to hit the spots. Now he thinks a little more he has to hit the spot. He loses the shoulder sometimes. He misses the spot. And then he gets into game of chicken with these batters. And not that scared of the fastball because you can't locate it. You can sit slider and you're going to fucking pound it. And that's what's happened. But I do think because we're doing it again, guys, I don't want to be that guy because Edwin Díaz has, for the second time in 5 years, fully tanked the Mets season.
Yeah.
Like, basically, because everyone's like, oh,
maybe third time in 5 years.
2019 deja vu. What's his third time?
2020, he was also horrendously bad.
But that team sucked. That it was also
fake year.
That season doesn't matter because I was watching.
Doesn't matter.
I was watching baseball during the day with my dad on Wednesday, and Waka was throwing a great game for the Royals, and he was like, "This guy stunk that 1 year at the Mets," and I was like, "You only got to pitch like 9 times. Like, you can't even get into
28 innings."
If you pick a random 9-star sample from any pitcher in the league, you'd be like, "Wow, Joey Estes, this guy might be an ace," but like it doesn't matter. Chris Flexen's really putting it together right now, but it's just not a fucking full season. That's why that season doesn't count. But every peripheral is still fine. The strikeouts are still there. The walks are there. The swings and misses are there. Again, it's similar to 2019. I know the ball is different, but like a lot of the contact, it seems like ridiculous. Guys are hitting the ball harder, like a little bit harder, more consistently. But I think that comes down to location, which comes down to his recovery from the injury. And I still think he's okay. Not worth the money. Still a stupid contract that we gave for the purposes of marketing. But trumpets. I think in general, he's still fine.
Okay, good to know. That's the negative stuff. Let's talk about all the positives now.
How did we squeak 16 minutes on that bullshit?
Because we're sick in the fucking head. Because we're insane. This is our life. All right, positives. Tuesday. What a game. What a game Tuesday. That was amazing. The offense came out swinging. Pete Alonso had a really nice series in terms of power. Weirdly, not pulling the ball, hitting it to center field and right field. So don't talk to Eric Chavez about that one. I'm sure he's patting himself on the back there. But Pete had a good series. Alvarez got a couple big hits. Nimmo had 3 hits on Tuesday. JD had a couple hits. Lindor. I mean, everybody was smoking the ball. Made Brandon Pfaadt look like not a very good pitcher, which he has been pretty much all year.
Yeah, but the big story from that game and this series, it comes back to the starting pitching.
Yeah.
Mets starting pitching, especially Manaea and Peterson, has been so fucking good to the point where it's like a little bit ridiculous. Manaea,
but Jeremy Hefner sucks.
Yeah, no, Jeremy Hefner is a legend. Next time I'm in Citi Field, I swear to you guys on this podcast, I will be wearing my Hefner jersey, so we'll take a look out for that during the Red Sox series. But it's amazing that Manaea was able to have this breakout season, make an adjustment in season to lower his release height that he said because he watched how good Chris Sale was live, bring that arm down. I was talking to my guy Mikey MJD Analysis on Twitter about it. Get more deception on his 2-seamer, and then be able to get more depth on his changeup. Got 3 more inches of vertical break per average on his changeup on Tuesday compared to the rest of his starts this year. That pitch is something that he basically scrapped in the first half of the season. Now he's brought back in a big way his last 4 starts since he changed the release point. And it's amazing. Like, he gets such extension from such a low release point that no other lefties basically besides Chris Sale are able to do. So a pitcher sees this. They're just not used to it. It's not something that you're able to practice that well against. It's not something you see very often. So it sneaks up on everybody. He had 17 swings and misses, 11 strikeouts. Brandon Nimmo compared him to Jacob fucking DeGrom after the game. It's just like this guy is operating at a level right now where like he's the one and it doesn't even feel that bad.
Yeah, no, he's the one, and I'm like, I want him back so badly next year. It's crazy that we live in a world where I'm like, Sean Manaea needs to be back on this team. Like, pay him, give him the money, because what he's doing looks sustainable, looks good. There's nothing that makes you worried about. I mean, there's regression, of course. He's not going to strike out 10, 11 batters every single start. That's not possible. But there's not really much that makes you think that he can't be a good mid-rotation frontline starter for the Mets in the future.
The only thing is it's just the league getting a little more used to all this new shit he's doing. Because like he was so in his bag on Tuesday. He was throwing fucking sweepers to the righties, dropping them in like in the lower inside corner, like it's a called strike pitch. I was like, who the fuck does this guy think he is right now? But he was pitching with so much confidence and so much balls. Everything was in the strike zone. I was like, this is incredible. 60% of his pitches he threw were in the strike zone. Yeah, got 25% chase rate. The whiff rate was what was like 50%? No. 33%, still really fucking good. But it's just he has everything working right now. Like he's ascending. You made the great point a few episodes ago that other pitchers are going to see what Sean Manaea and Luis Severino have done this year with the Mets and be like, oh man, I need a 1-year bridge contract. I'm going to go to the fucking Mets and Jeremy Hefner. They're going to fix me for a year. Then I'm going to get my bag because Manaea's pitched himself like into the Jordan Montgomery tier of last year.
Easily.
Like he's going to get 4 for 100 from somewhere. Like
Easily.
that's, I think, where his line right now is a 3 to 4 year deal between 22 and $28 million. And I think he might actually be worth it. He's just like he's coming to his own, and he's one of the most important players in his team this season.
And again, something we've talked about with pitching on this podcast a lot. Sometimes it just takes some time. And it seems like for Sean Manaea, a guy who had the pedigree, was a high-rated prospect, had some flashes in the pan with Oakland and in San Diego and in San Francisco. Now coming to the Mets, his fourth team, took a little bit of time, but it seems like he's really starting to figure it out. And boy, oh boy, am I glad he's figuring out with this team because he is single-handedly keeping this team afloat right now.
And it's funny, too, to look at the way these two teams were constructed in the offseason. I think people gave the Diamondbacks a lot of the credit because after they won the World Series, they pushed the chips in hard.
Which is awesome.
And they gave big money to Eduardo Rodriguez, who's like, by all accounts, but it was first Rodriguez. I think a team like the Diamondbacks that works on a little less of a payroll than big market teams like the Mets. They're like, okay, we just had an influx of cash from the playoff World Series run. Let's go buy a player. They gave Eduardo Rodriguez a lot of money in a lot of years. And then they lost their TV deal, like a third of the teams in Major League Baseball. I'm like, oh, fuck, we have to pause the offseason. But then they did that cool thing. I'm not sure if Dalton and Co. are in on this, where they gave people basically season tickets for like $4 a game if you bought the whole season first. They did like a season ticket package for $250 in the offseason. And they got really good response to it. And I feel like they then took that money, and that's how they bought Montgomery. Ooh. But then you look for a second, a team like the Diamondbacks, they have really good internal pitching development. Just Brent Strom is one of the goats. He might be the greatest pitching coach ever in the history of baseball. He's really that good. But the fact that this team, who usually kind of cuts it close with payroll, they gave this big money in these bigger years, not much Montgomery, more Rodriguez, to Montgomery and Rodriguez, where the Mets got these 1-year rental deals to Manaea and Severino, are getting significantly more production. They're significantly more effective, and they have significantly. I almost wish now these guys had 2 years each. But I probably didn't want to sign them. But it's just interesting going about these off seasons how they're viewed in the moment. And now we're in August, about to be September of the playoff race, and the Diamondbacks probably like, I wish we didn't sign either of these guys.
Dude, if they had Severino, Manaea, they're clearly winning the National League West right now. It's not even close.
But also the way like Ryan Nelson has ascended, and like Brandon Pfaadt's had a much better year. I know he had a bad start on Tuesday, but a much better year. It's like it's like, why'd you do? If you didn't do those two things, like, you'd be much better. I don't know why the fuck do you do that? Because Montgomery looks fucking awful.
Yeah, Montgomery looks really bad. I mean, he actually had his best appearance of the year against the Mets coming in relief. He didn't give up any earned runs, which is funny because he came in with the bases loaded, proceeded to hit Tyrone Taylor, then let the other two inherited runners, the other two inherited runners score, and then he didn't let up a run the rest of the game. Brandon Pfaadt's got to be sitting on the bench like, you're killing me, bro. I got arbitration coming up, and now those are 3 more earned runs on my docket. Fuck you.
Yeah, it probably cost him like $40,000 in that shot. But when Montgomery did that, also Geraldo Perdomo, former All-Star, can't forget Geraldo Perdomo, 2023 National League All-Star, never forget. Didn't do him any favors. And also the Mets were pelting the ball every single inning off Montgomery, just finding gloves. Like that was not something I think you can build on that mentally because you didn't let any of your own run score. But you go back and look at the iPad, you're like, I still wasn't hitting my spots. I'm still not effective. But that was, I think, really big for the Mets to come out after the game in San Diego, after the off day, and just hit the piss out of the ball is what they needed to do. That's what they did. We had 7 combined hits from the top 3 guys in the order. Lindor just keeps going. Nimmo in this series, I think, swung the bat a little better, but this was necessary. And then I felt like it was moving into Wednesday and it was going to be all okay. And Severino had like not the best start. He had that one bad inning, but he still missed tons of bats, more sweepers again. He seems like he's getting better as the season goes on in a way, which is amazing for a guy that's only thrown 170 innings one time in the last 6 fucking years. So it's just out of all the guys in this team, I feel like the happiest for Luis Severino because he looks like he has such a fucking vigor to play baseball again. That looked like it was gone those last couple of years with the Yankees. I'm just like, this is really cool to see. But then we botched that one. We blew it. But all the credit in the world for doing it again on Thursday and winning.
And I got to say, the offense, too, even on Wednesday, they stepped up when we needed it. Like, they were a little bit cold to start the game against Erod. It took them the second time through the order. But then you got the big hits. You got the 2-run home run by, what was it, JD, I think, right? JD hit the home run?
Bader.
Oh, Bader. It was Bader. Okay, I was having a lot of beers in a very short amount of time. So I was doing a lot of socializing during that. But he hit the big home run. Marte scored on that sac fly that people were overreacting to Starling Marte stealing a run there.
No, that I don't think people were reacting.
I
He
think they were
did steal a run
overreacting.
on his own.
It
No, that was really good play.
was a good play. I'm not saying it wasn't a good play, but everyone's
Yeah,
acting like Starling Marte is still the Starling Marte of old, where like
he's
90th
not.
percentile sprint speed. He is one of the slower players right now in Major League
Well,
Baseball,
but
37th
there's an issue.
percentile.
I know there's an issue with sprint speed though, where it just tracks like how fast you're going from home to first, and Starling
Sure,
Marte never tries running
but
hard
it's
from home
it's
to first,
max
so that
though.
skews it. I don't think that's true.
I'm pretty sure that's what people were telling me. It's max.
All right, I'm most positive it's not, but we'll agree disagree. So I don't feel like looking it up
Fine.
live on the show is bad radio. But it was he did do a lot to get that run. That run was vital. And if the Mets didn't blow that game, that would have been the pay everyone would have been talking about Starling Marte saving the Mets.
Here's what I'll say.
That slide was also sick as fuck, and you
Slide
weren't
was sick. Slide was sick. Slide was sick.
weren't watching. Keith was so pissed off at Adrian Del Castillo for missing that tag. He was like yelling. He was like,
Really?
"Oh, you got to get that tag down, young man. Oh my God, the outfielder got you throw there. That's a big run." He was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "The ball's in your glove. Get in front of the plate, young man." It was funny.
Kind of can't get in front of the plate anymore. They probably call blocking the plate.
I think with the ball you can.
You can, but they make up whatever rules they want. It's a day that ends in Y. They'll change how the rules work. We know how that goes. Sometimes you're blocking the base, sometimes you're not. Doesn't really matter with the umpires.
Also, shout out Justin Steele. You know, he had sticky stuff on his hands.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
And I was going to say it for Media Marvels on Sunday, but why the fuck not talk about it now? Yeah, go wash your hands. Go wash your hands. I think, is that racism?
It could be. I'm down.
Could be a little racism.
I'm down. Edwin Díaz, he didn't like it. Max Scherzer didn't like it.
That pissed me off so fucking much.
He's the same race, but yeah,
that was mad. Metsism.
Metsism. That really was insane. I don't know why there's not a uniform thing. And we did bring this up when the Mets, because the Mets have never been given opportunities. They let Scherzer wash his hand, then still injected him. Drew Smith didn't get to wash his hand. Edwin Díaz didn't get to wash his hand. It's actually insane how many guys on the Mets have been hit. And it's the same fucking umpires every single time. That's the other really weird thing. Check his Caesar Sportsbook app. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't even know. What's the chaos series? I feel like I'm catching your chaos from just being there. That's what makes you a little crazy. Makes you a little crazy. The sun.
This weather and a lack of hydration because just a lot of beer, a lot of Coors Banquet. Okay, Chase Field. One really cool thing that they do. They have value beers, so you get like a can of beer, 12 ounce, for $4 or $5, which is great. That's a fantastic.
That can't be
deal.
every game.
Every single game.
You get a $5 beer there every single game.
Had 3 today. Like there's just for $5, incredible deal. And then they have the value hot dogs that are I think $2.50 or $3 a piece. Incredible. That's disgusting.
Oh, so this is why you guys did 9 for 9.
That's why. It's just a value play there. And then they have value popcorn. They have value pretzel. Like this is everything. The Mets need to actually adopt this because you can still get your tall boys for $15 at the stadium if you want to, like an idiot, like a schlub. Or you can get 6 Coors Banquets or Busch. They had Busch Light at the stadium. I couldn't even believe that. I've never seen Busch Light paid for at a stadium. That's insane.
Well, no, if you've ever scrolled on Instagram, the Mets want to have luxury in the ballpark. You're missing that part. You need luxury. You need wealth to come to the Mets games.
You pay $25 for a fucking beer.
I think that is part of why what the Diamondbacks did with the value season tickets as well. Like get fans in the ballpark because to get some action, especially in a team that is good and just went to the fucking World Series.
Weird. A lot of chirping from Diamondbacks fans the last 2 days for me. Shout out, a lot of Mets fans at the game, which was cool. Like especially on the Mets first base side, tons of Mets fans. The Mets fans showed up. Yeah. Arizona's a great place. You want to spend some time out here, I highly recommend it. Maybe not in August, but it's a great place.
Yeah, popular place for the witness protection program.
Oh, great place. Great place for a couple of Italians to go hide away from all their worries. But then if you're all hiding here, is it actually a good place to hide? So that's the weird back and forth. But lots of Mets fans, a lot of Diamondback fans chirping, though. A lot of fuck the Mets chants. A lot of, like, just screaming, I go the fuck back to New York. I was like, listen, first off, Scottsdale doesn't exist unless New Yorkers like us go out west. So just remember that first and foremost. Your fucking desert city wouldn't exist without us. 2, why do you hate us? We have no animosity towards each other besides Todd Pratt hitting a game-winning home run against you in 99.
No, they can't beat us. We've won the season series against the Diamondbacks now going on 6 straight years. They literally can't beat it. We own the Diamondbacks.
Is this like when we play the Cardinals and we have a reason to hate them. Who's this like for us?
That we hate that doesn't hate us?
Padres? Is this our Padres?
Yeah, maybe the Padres, the Braves, maybe. I don't know.
We have a reason to hate the Braves. Like, there's no reason. Yeah. We're not rivals with the Diamondbacks.
Also, we've only lost 3 games to Diamondbacks this year. 2 of them were just simply Edwin Díaz giving up a home run in the 9th inning.
Of course.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of games where Edwin Díaz giving up a home run in the 9th inning, and our standings would look a lot different.
God damn it. But All right. I mean, any other positive we could pull from this series? I mean, Severino, I want to say
Yes.
Severino quickly looked really good. The sweeper was awesome. The finally, after the whole season, he finally done the changeup. I've been waiting for it for 6 fucking months here. He was throwing changeups to lefties. I was like, who is it? Who is this guy throwing changeups? That was really exciting because the Diamondbacks been like a full left-handed lineup against Severino.
Yeah.
It was amazing. They had that many lefties on the roster to do that, and he was mixing the color in. He was doing the changeup. I was like, wow, I didn't know this guy was still here.
Some other positives. Jose Iglesias, big hit on Thursday, getting the go-ahead
Awesome.
hit. Francisco Lindor still playing MVP level, getting MVP chance in Arizona. That was really cool. And again, I think we've been asking for other guys to step up in this series. They did. They had 10 hits on Thursday. They scored 5 runs on Wednesday. They scored 8 runs on Tuesday. Like the offense now is actually starting to click.
Yeah.
Just need that bullpen to keep it together. Also, the ball flies out here. I know that's known. I know they use the humidor thing, but it's crazy the way the ball just
Really
jumps
does.
off of bats here. Pete hit a couple balls, especially on Thursday. There was one where I thought he was out in front of it, hit off the end of the bat, and Jake McCarthy made that
403 feet.
great jumping catch in
Yes.
center field.
Center
That
field.
ball went that far. I couldn't believe it.
Dude, even McNeil's double that he hit, it was like the 5th inning that he hit to right center, crushed that ball. The Mets had hit 3 balls today over 400 feet, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And not even that wasn't Lindor's homer, but also Winker looked like good. And Nimmo had 2 multi-hit games this series, and he drew a couple walks. Like everything looks like the lineup is finding its way. Even Francisco Alvarez shut him out, finding the opposite field.
Eric
We know
Chavez special.
he is a singles hitter, and that's all he will ever be, and all we ever want him to be. That's how he has to do it. You're not a high power sports car. Just be a Camry for a little while. I know you didn't watch any of his game TV. Gelb said he talked to him first. Gelb stole Tim Healy's quote that he doesn't feel powerful and didn't credit him. So shout out Moonface for that one. But he said then he talked to Alvarez, and Alvarez said this is the most frustrated he's ever been in his life playing baseball.
I believe it.
He said he has never, ever been this bad for this long, ever. And he doesn't know. He said mentally it's worse than physically. He doesn't know how to deal with not being the best.
I could tell you how. Stop listening to the guy giving you the fucking advice who made you into a terrible hitter. It's that simple. Remember how you were really good? Go back to what you were doing. Don't worry about what Eric Chavez says. It's that simple.
Yeah, and also just other little nitpicky things. I think if Marte is going to be so bad on defense, he has to come out every game in the 7th inning. I think it's hard to justify him hitting high up in the order.
It's also just hard to justify him hitting up there anyway because he is not one of the 8 best hitters on this team.
He's probably like the 5th best hitter in this team. I think that's really fair. But it's hard when I don't want Tyrone Taylor or Harrison Bader to have to come in like have a huge at bat at 9th inning. I just don't want that to happen. And the bullpen's shaky enough that every game is still in play. That's hard. That's like just an added thing to justify him hitting that high. It's kind of frustrating for me. Other thing, what else we got? I mean, Pete did look really good. Looks like he's coming back. The Lindor pit at bat was fucking incredible. So all the last like 2% of the pygmies that are like, oh, he's not doing it in the clutch situation. All right, well, yeah, he did it again. He took a hit home run to tie the game in the 6th inning. A game that was literally a must-win game. Season's over. The Mets lose this game. Yeah, and 11 pitch at bat, most pitches he's ever seen at bat in his career ended in a home run.
Wow. Okay, good stat there.
Yeah, right. Gary had that one in the broadcast ready to go. But it's just, I don't know. It's nice to see as bad as this team keeps playing, how much they keep battling, and also again, fucking David Peterson. This guy is fucking unbelievable. Like I don't even know how he's doing it. It's like even this game, it wasn't even tons of ground balls. It was 11 out of 20 balls in play, a couple pop ups, but like it just seemed like the Diamondbacks
huge double play.
That double play, 7th inning.
Huge.
Oh my
That
god,
was sex.
Yeah. Also, shout out Kevin Newman being in this lineup. That's just when you're playing a game of baseball and you see Kevin Newman or Aldo Perdomo on the other side, you can really relax a little bit.
Thank you for saying that because obviously I'm at the game with Dalton and Co., 2 Diamondbacks fans, and like Kevin Newman's in the game. I was like, this is insane that this guy's our MLB roster. Like he's had some big hits, man. He's a good little ball player. You want him on your bench? I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want Kevin Newman
on your bench. It's fine, like I guess.
Yeah, as your last player.
Play
but they
also
have Luis Guillorme on this roster and Geraldo Perdomo. Yeah. Like they're just like, what if we cloned you and got worse and worse with the clone as we go down from our starter down to our last guy?
I don't know. The Diamondbacks team is good, but they're definitely not a juggernaut.
Like I think the Padres are better. I think the Padres are definitely better than them.
The Padres play not good baseball anymore.
What happened?
They got walked off against the Cardinals on Tuesday. They lost against the Cardinals on Thursday. They're starting to fall down a little bit. They lost again today. The Cardinals are heating up. Sonny Gray shut them down.
Good. Let's go.
The Padres lost, but I was looking at this before. They had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had the 5 hardest hit balls in the game, and they lost.
That's about right. Good. You know what? The tides can turn a little bit. Those 2 teams have been incredibly hot between the Diamondbacks and Padres.
Oh, the Braves just scored again. Damn it. And also, you talked shit about Rocco Baldelli before, just to give Mets fans some insight on how the Twins blew the game against the Braves on Wednesday night. So, David Festa, we saw him last month. Good little pitcher, Jersey kid, shout out Seton Hall and Seton Hall prep. So real local kid for you and I, Mark. But he was pitching the best start of his career. He's never completed 6 innings ever as a major leaguer. He got through 6 innings. He gave up a home run to Jorge Soler in a fastball in the first inning. He said after that, fuck my fastball. He threw like 23 more sliders and fastballs. The rest of the game was dominant. The Braves, Gio Urshela and Whit Merrifield were nowhere close to it, flailing every single at bat. And Luke Williams playing third base for the Braves. Rocco
Jesus
Baldelli
Christ.
tried to get cute and pushed Festa out for the 7th inning. Festa had a 9-pitch at bat against Ozuna to start the inning. Fucking could have punched him out. Blue didn't give him 2 borderline pitches.
Does he
He
know
immediately
that
takes him
Marcell
out.
Ozuna hit his wife?
No, and then he got caught drunk driving also. So it's in danger to the people. And someone just walked behind you, looked in the conference room.
Nice. Let's go.
Yeah,
I like that.
But so yeah, then he walks Ozuna on tough at bat, takes him out immediately. 4 pitches later, Matt Olson double, next batter double. Braves win the game by 4 runs. So yeah fuck Rocco Baldelli for that one.
Oh no, Rocco Baldelli is single-handedly, and I've been saying this pretty much since he's got there, you're single-handedly keeping the Twins away from ever being a perennial threat in the American League because they got everything there except the manager. That guy is stupid. There's no way around it.
Also, just another quick look at stuff from Peterson. It's just I think he's finally might have found some command, which is amazing for him. I think that's the thing that's always been missing. This kind of thing we talk about where sometimes it just takes a while, where the changeups were stayed low mostly. The sinkers, a couple of them still found the heart, but they weren't really. The sliders were really good in the back foot. It's just every single fastball he threw seemingly was on the edge or just like right at the guy's eyes, top the strike zone. He's moving the ball around really well, and all the peripherals still suck.
Of course.
And I'm sure there's going to be one bad start when we really need him most at the end of the year, just to remind everyone. But it's just a good little pitcher and someone who I think we could be mildly confident being like a 4-5 next year.
Definitely. And Peterson's really done a great job this year. Super impressed with how he has looked. All right, let's go ahead and get to a little quick prospect report because we have September call-ups coming up. September 1st, the rosters expand. You're allowed to add 1 pitcher and 1 hitter, and the Mets definitely could use 1 of each. So let's talk about some possible candidates to make it on up. I feel like we got to start with Drew Gilbert, who's been playing well.
I don't know if you've been that privy to the news recently, but they've said basically without fail it's going to be Luisangel Acuña.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're not plugged in. You're in the desert. Yeah, Tacoma.
There's no Wi-Fi out here.
Mendoza basically, he said out loud, he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna bring someone up, and we're gonna really value positional flexibility and athleticism and speed."
Luisangel Acuña.
Luisangel Acuña. So I wanted to spend this time talking about Luisangel Acuña, and as we've done this entire year, temper Mets fans' expectations for who he is as a player.
Who is he, James?
He's zesty with Merrifield. I want to tell you what he is and because it doesn't have any bearing on maybe what he can be in the future or what he ever will be years from now. But Luisangel Acuña right now is the age of a college senior, and he's going to be playing Major League Baseball. And I think the biggest reason he's going to be on this team are those things that Mendoza said: athleticism, positional flexibility, and also the fact that he is on the Mets 40-man roster already because he was an international signee. He was in the Rangers organization, so he was already on their 40-man roster. So I think that's critical. And since these things have been said, Luisangel Acuña is he's 9 for 15 at the plate with a home run and a couple RBIs and a couple runs scored and a couple stolen bases. So I think he's ready for the moment. And after his really, really bad April, I do have to give him some credit. I've given him some credit all year, but he has been pretty okay. He's a 270 hitter with how many home runs here? Only 4 homers still with 11 doubles and 2 triples, but he's not coming to this team to be any kind of hero. No. Luisangel Acuña is coming to this team to be a player that mixes in on the bench and that does some things other guys in the roster can't do and bring a little bit of zest to this roster that I think needs some.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've seen what White Merrifield has done to the Braves, and he's been incredible with them since going to that team. He's been really good. He's been helping them a ton. He has the ability to make an impact, but not be the impact, if that makes sense. He's not here to be the impact. He's not here to fix whatever is going on to solve all the problems. But he has the ability because of the athleticism, because of his flexibility, because of I don't want to say the intangibles, it's not the right word, but because of the high excitement plays he can make, he can change a game in the moment with what
he can do. Yeah,
a little bit zesty Whit Merrifield. Again, Whit Merrifield's White Rice, Luisangel Acuña's jambalaya. You got a little bit more in there.
Yellow
He's
rice.
Got some fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it is, again, important to temper expectations of who he is. This is not his brother.
No,
this
not even close.
Will never be his brother.
Shouldn't. And if he is, holy shit.
I think he's 5 inches shorter than his brother, though. Luisangel Acuña could definitely grow into a player that's a really acceptable major leaguer. He can be someone who maybe starts at second base or center field and can play the corners. He can play shortstop in a pinch. He's going to put the ball in play a lot. He's not often going to be patient and wait for walks. He's going to expand the strike zone more than you want a player to. He doesn't have great power, but that's not because he doesn't have great. He'll put on a show in batting practice.
Yes,
but he's not he loses his pitch selection, and that doesn't allow him to get to his natural power because he'll hit the ball on the ground too much because he'll be pitched out of strike zone. He'll chase, he'll flail, he'll swing down on the ball. He does have power, but he's not able to get to it in a game. He will get on base and he'll be looking to steal. He's athletic, he's twitchy, he's fast, but he's not coming here to save the day. He's not his brother.
He's not an MVP.
He's not his brother. He's not his brother. He's not an all-star. He's not, who he is. He's a good ball player.
He is his brother, but he's not going to play like his brother.
He's going to act like his brother, which might piss some people off. Which is actually that's a good point. That's true. Yeah, but I hate. I think it really is just happening because he's on the 40-man roster, and I think the Mets want a lot more of these 40-man spots to stay open for pitcher flexibility, and they're not ready to cut Alex Ramirez yet. So I think that's just why it's not going to be Drew Gilbert. But I still would prefer if it was Drew Gilbert because I hate Starling Marte. Truthfully,
yeah,
still. I don't know. I think I just want to get Mets fans ready for this because I think it's almost certain that's what's going to happen. And that's where we are.
Yeah, no, listen, I think Acuña definitely probably serves more purpose to this team in the moment than Drew Gilbert actually can because Gilbert needs to probably play more and it doesn't seem like in terms of outfield there's as much space because Bader's still going to play center field. Tyrone Taylor's still going to play. Jesse Winker's still going to play. Starling Marte. Yeah, there's a lot of guys fighting for those same spots where, relatively speaking, up the middle, I know Iglesias, McNeil, Lindor's not going anywhere, but like there is less there.
And Acuña can play infield and outfield, which is really important. And then it's just McNeil's the only guy on the roster that can do that.
Yeah. Now, on the pitching side of things, looking at the Mets 40-man roster, some of the options that we have here, I know Tyler McGill is going to make his way up on the weekend, right, Friday, to pitch against the White Sox. But you also have guys like Matt Gage, Grant Hartwig, Eric Orza, Alex Young, and Tyler Zuber, who, if you guys remember, we traded for at the trade deadline. Who are you leaning towards as the guy that the Mets bring up pitching-wise?
Definitely McGill, just because I think this bullpen desperately needs a long man. I think they need that.
Now with Nunez on the IL, he takes that spot, so there's still another spot for the pitcher.
True. Oh, you know what they might do? Because right now, Taylor Rogers was waived.
That's true.
And the Mets, because they're behind a lot of the teams that are contending right now, I think there's a good chance they can get him. So I think there's a chance that they jump on him, and then maybe McGill gets sent back down, and he comes back up as the guy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be smart because we definitely need a big out lefty guy. Shout out Danny Young, though. Did a great job against the Diamondbacks.
Danny Young isn't bad. I'm telling you, he's not a bad pitcher. He's a good lefty.
I know, but he's not a big out guy. You can't have your dude throwing 90 getting big outs against some of the best left-handed pitchers. Like Bryce Harper coming to the plate, Freddie Freeman. You're going to feel good with Danny Young in that matchup. You can't. I don't care how good his numbers have been this year. I don't trust that.
I don't know. I don't think the stuff is that bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I watched
dude.
The slider's good from the sidearmor. Like if you want to get one out, I think that's a guy that can get you one out. But also, I think
fastball to get those good hitters out still.
Probably, but I think the Mets are going to go hard for Taylor Rogers because they one need a lefty and two need a reliever, and he happens to be both. And also, all of those relievers you just mentioned are but bottom line not very good.
Yeah, like Matt Gage is the other lefty, and I genuinely don't know anything about him, which means there's probably not anything there.
No, there's not that much there. And then also just briefly want to touch on Brandon Sproat still pitching in AAA. I think people would hope he'd get that spot. AAA is fucked. The average OPS in the league in AAA is 778. The average OPS in the International League is 766. It's not a league that's easy to pitch in, and they're using a different baseball, and they have different rules with with the strike zone. So I think he's had a really rude awakening there. Part of it's those factors. Part of it is just on him. His command's been really bad, and he's a guy that I've given him a lot of credit for throwing multiple breaking balls. When they change the ball on you and change the strike zone, it's kind of hard with the multiple breaking balls. Like that's something that becomes difficult. Change up's a field pitch. He's losing the feel for it. My guy MJD Analysis Mikey, he was posting that the movement on Sproat's sweeper was finally back to normal, like with the sweep on and the drop, and was still throwing at about 85, 86 miles an hour. So nice that it's taken him a few starts to figure out how to spin the new ball there. But don't freak out about Brandon Sproat. It doesn't look good right now, but it's still fine.
Again, a lot of the smart organizations are really just skipping AAA right now with their pitchers.
I don't know why the Mets keep leaning into it.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe a mental thing. Like, hey, we need you to mentally grind through not being the best pitcher right now. Because every pitcher that goes to AAA, not even in the Mets organization, just in general, has had issues. Their K rates have fallen. Their walk rates have gone up. So I don't know if that's just. And AAA is really not. I mean, I know it is better than AA, but a lot of those guys are not very.
It might not be that much better.
Yeah.
Like Sproat had a decent start the other day. Still wasn't a very good start. Still wound up giving up 4 runs in 4 2/3 innings. But the lineup he faced had like Cody Clemens, Scott Kingery, Derek Hall, David Dahl. Like those are the kinds of hitters that you face in AAA. Like guys who aren't good enough for the major leagues, but guys the organization doesn't really care about developing anymore.
Yeah, and as we know, you got to give them the juice ball. 2019, anybody can be good.
Exactly. Scott Kingery, 850 OPS in AAA. David Dahl, 950. These guys are fucking Hall of Famers down there. But I think that's enough for the prospect report. But just again, to reiterate to Mets fans, give Luisangel Acuña a chance. Think about him like you thought about Jordani Valdespin, the zesty Whit Merrifield. This is a utility player that has a spark in him.
At
This
least
is
for
not a
James's
savior.
mental state here, because if you guys are watching this on YouTube, this is all James is thinking about. He's like, please don't think he's wrong. Please, I'll lose sleep over this.
I just hate the way the guys on Mets Twitter are promoting him,
know,
just using his fucking
bad.
name for clicks. It pisses me off. So it's just like, and again, they're doing their job. Like they're just trying to get their
clicks.
impressions. Yeah, get your clicks, like whatever. I do it too sometimes, but just don't promote him as a guy who's like special. He is versatile and he's athletic. That's why he's here. Luisangel Díaz.
Yeah, there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
Luisangel Luino. You don't care about
him. And then the last bit of the prospect report here, I just wanted to mention and move on.
Go for it.
Kumar Rocker.
Well, okay. Well, that's the one you wanted to bring up. Not even on the team.
We might have fucked that one up.
Not us.
Whoops.
Don't say us.
Whoops.
We're no longer we there. That's the Mets might have fucked that one up.
But again, I also will say, just I think a lot of people are doing low Mets for this because he looks sensational right now for the Rangers in the minor leagues. He's gone from high A to AAA in 1 year. He looks like he's going to be legit as shit. And now they're going to have him and Jack Leiter in the same rotation, which is really funny.
And Jacob DeGrom.
But yeah, Jacob DeGrom.
Talk and maybe about prospect report there in the minors. Ooh, we lightened it up. Throw 99.
Got like 5,000. Imagine you're grinding out through the minor leagues and like AAA really going to get my shot. Oh fuck, there's Jacob DeGrom. But it is still like I think it's still revisionist history for Mets fans that are giving the Mets shit about Kumar Rocker because they lied about his medicals and then tried to sign him for. Then Scott Boras wouldn't take less than the full slot value, and then Kumar Rocker spent a year outside of baseball, and then he came back and took he took an insanely low slot value for the 4th overall pick. So revisionist history on what the Met happened with the Mets and Kumar Rocker. I think they didn't. That would have fucked up. I think maybe signing other guys in that class. I'm not going to look at the rest of the guys in that class. No. We don't need to see how badly they had to sign all those guys right now. But just whoops.
Yeah, whoops is a good way to put it. All right, enough of that negativity from the prospect report. Let's go ahead and preview the series against what is the worst team in baseball. This is not a jinx, guys. They fucking suck. And if the Mets lose, this has nothing to do with what we said. They are generally horrendous. This team is a disgrace to Major League Baseball.
If the Mets lose one game, there's a really good chance they will not make the playoffs because now that every single team in baseball plays everybody else, it's almost like you have to kind of track how well you did against all these other teams everybody else is playing against because everyone gets to play them. The White Sox have won one game in their last 40 tries, 4 games in their last 40 tries. The White Sox are 33 games out of 4th place. The Rangers have won more games at guaranteed rate field in the second half than the White Sox just because they just swept them in a series. This team, by all accounts, is the worst team in the history of baseball, and you have to sweep them if you want to make the playoffs.
You have to sweep them, and these games, not only just sweep, these games shouldn't be close. If these games are within 1 run outside of the first inning when you score the first run, there's no excuse. And we're not getting Garrett Crochet either, who's their only good pitcher.
I will say that both they easily actually could have won 2 games against the Rangers. Andrew Vaughn looked like he was going to hit a walk-off home run, and Travis Jankowski jumped over the wall, a full arm length over the wall to bring it back, and then they had a rally in the 9th inning off of Kirby Yates today, Thursday, the White Sox, and couldn't put it together to get that 5th win of the second half. But I'm gonna freak out if we lose a game. I'll freak out.
So pitching matchups again. Who are we getting? Are we getting Crochet? He moved to start the other day, right?
Crochet, well, this is just also classic incompetence, I guess, from the entire organization, where Garrett Crochet and Andrew Heaney had started the game on Tuesday night. And I was extra pissed off about this because I picked up Andrew Heaney in way too many fantasy leagues to get a 2-start week against the White Sox and the A's. But Garrett Crochet came on the mound, threw 4 pitches, rain, game over, suspended. So now Garrett Crochet, he pitched, so he got warm, so he's not going to pitch the next day. But I think this means that he is still going to pitch against us on Sunday.
Okay.
So right now the pitching matchups as scheduled are Friday, 8-10, Tyler McGill versus Jonathan Cannon.
Who?
Jonathan Cannon? He's been the team all year. He's actually not even close to being their worst guy.
Yeah, but that's not really an accomplishment, not being the worst guy in the White Sox.
Sure. Then Saturday, 7-10. So strange that we're going from 8-10 to 7-10.
Yeah,
I
what's
can't
that
figure
all
that one
about?
out. But ace off, Jose Quintana versus Davis Martin.
Who?
And then yeah, Davis Martin, that's a good one. And then Sunday, there's a great game here. Sean Manaea, Garrett Crochet.
Actual ace off.
Actual ace off, legitimate ace off there. But Crochet has not been the same guy since they curtailed his workload, which kind of sucks for him, but also makes sense because his major league high in innings before this year, I think, was 21. And this year he's at 128. So it makes sense for the team with the worst record in history of baseball to be like, chill. So in his last 10 appearances, Garrett Crochet has thrown 4 innings, 2 innings, 1 inning. That was the All-Star game. 4 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings, 2 and a third, 4, 4, and then 0, 4 pitches. He hasn't gone more than 95 pitches since June. This is a guy that they are very purposefully trying to make chill out because there's no reason for him to be pushing the limits right now.
All right.
As they're sporting the worst record in baseball.
I want to play a game with you on the
Mm-hmm.
offensive side of the ball here. And again, maybe this is the mega jinx. I don't care. You can't lose to this team. They fucking suck. I'm going to see if you know who these players are and what position they're listed on Baseball Reference. You ready for this?
Okay, let's do it.
Brooks Baldwin. You ever heard of that guy? Who is that?
Shortstop.
Second base is what he's listed at.
All right, I think in AAA he was playing shortstop, but whatever.
Chucky Robinson.
Catcher?
Yeah, catcher. Chucky Robinson, catcher. All right. I'm gonna give you one more. You know where Corey Julks plays? I know he was on the Astros last year. You know where he plays?
It's got to be a little third, a little corner outfield.
Outfield. There you go. Corey Julks.
There we go. All right,
I mean,
yeah.
those are guys who are getting a lot of playing time right now. Corey Lee behind the plate, Andrew Vaughn at first. Nicky Lopez is hitting leadoff, which is just despicable. I mean, that guy is.
Oh, he's gonna have such a good big series against the Mets.
Oh, major big series. Nicky Lopez, follower of mine on Twitter, nice dude. Bad hitter. That's all I got to say about him. Really bad hitter. My boy Lennon Sosa. Shout out Lennon Sosa. He is playing third base, which that's pretty bad. Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, Gavin Sheets, Dominic Fletcher, Miguel Vargas. They cut Nick Senzel. That's how bad Nick Senzel has been.
Jeez.
Will we see an appearance maybe from our boy Danny Mendick?
Yeah, probably will.
He
Danny
could.
Mendick.
He might find his way back up here. Who knows?
Yeah, Danny Mendick. Shout out Danny Mendick. But the thing, again, I don't really want to talk about this White Sox team that much more because they just suck. And it's more about the history they're possibly making right now is what?
I'm looking at their pitchers. They have dudes, again, I've never heard of. Sammy Peralta.
No. Oh, the bullpen? Fraser Allard?
Fraser Allard was the one I was like, who the fuck is Fraser
You don't know
Allard?
about Fraser Allard?
Yeah, of course I don't know about Fraser Allard. He has a 5 ERA and 10 appearances. Who the fuck is this guy?
Again, I think the only thing to talk about with the Mets and White Sox in this series is something that Tim Britton and Howie Rose have been talking about a lot online. And Tim Britton's going to write an article interviewing Howie about this, where Britton put up a poll on Twitter the other day. So looking ahead this weekend, I'm curious. Do you as Mets fans want the White Sox to break the 62 teams record for most losses in the season? And overwhelmingly, 76% of Mets fans voted yes. And the poll got as high as 87 to 13 the other day. And I also was resoundingly yes. And then I talked to my dad about it, and I've read a lot of what Howie said about it. And again, Tim Britton says him and Howie are going to do like a dual piece. So I thought they could talk about it. And my dad wasn't even there for it either. Howie said he was there for it. My dad was born years later. But my dad described it as a way of like, that Mets team was fully a joke, and everyone in the world knew it. Like, Casey Stengel was the fucking manager. Like, they had a combination of old players who should not be playing professional baseball and young players who should not have been playing professional baseball. Yeah. Ed Kramer 17 years old at first base. Like, it was like such a folly because it was the first year as an expansion team. But my dad said pride of that comes from the fact that they turned it around so relatively quickly and got to the mountaintop only 7 years later. With certain players, no players from that team, I think stuck it out. Oh, one Ed stuck it out.
Yeah,
Ed. But he said that it was like a point of pride for the Mets that they were this massive loser. They walked into baseball their first year were the biggest losers the game's ever seen, and then in 7 years we were able to be like, now we're the best team in the league. So
good. Guess what? That changes nothing if the White Sox lose more games than us.
I know I'm excited to see what Howie says about it because it was saying like you had to be their thing, but I'm interested to see what the article looks like. And I see the logic that my dad was saying with that. I would love talking to Uncle Lou about it because he was watching it live, but I want that record to be gone. I want the White Sox to lose the 103rd game and let this chaos be over. Not 100th, 123rd. How many games did they lose? 120?
It's something I care so little about because I know the White Sox are going to break it that it's never even been a number I particularly care about. I love to not remember that the team that I root for is the worst franchise ever in a single season. I'd love to drop that moniker. I think all Mets fans should want for respectfully, Mr. Schiano. Bad take in my opinion.
What's your dad think?
Behind. I'll ask my dad. I haven't spoke to him about it. Next time I talk to him, I'll ask him.
I feel
I
like a
have a feeling
generational
he's
thing.
going to be on my side. No, I think he's going to be on my side. He's going to be like, get rid of this. That's terrible. You're right. Your dad. I see what your dad's saying about like the quick turnaround. That turnaround doesn't change if the White Sox break the record. Everyone can still talk about the Mets were the second worst team in baseball history and then won a World Series 7 years later. Like, that is a crazy good turnaround. I don't think it changes the narrative or the story ever because they still were the worst of teams to ever do it. The only time it changes is if the White Sox then turn around and do it quicker. That's the only thing. You should be rooting for them to break it and then stink even more because it makes it even more impressive that the Mets were just as bad and did it.
It's so crazy how bad this White Sox team has gotten in a few years. It's unbelievable, really. It's just fucking.
It's a disgrace to baseball. This team. This is like
It's like to the entire
A's for being a
sport.
disgrace. Yeah, because like the A's are disgraced in a different way where they're actively not spending money. The White Sox weirdly spend some money. They just do it in every wrong way. Some money. Andrew Benintendi, biggest free agent contract in franchise history.
He had a home run today on Thursday. The A's also, again, have turned the year. In 1 year, they're like not that bad anymore.
Correct. Yeah.
The A's have played almost 2 full months of baseball right now. They're over 500. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yes, we'll see if that happens. They're on a better pay 6-2 Mets right now. You want to close with Frankie Peppers?
We got a Frankie Peppers message?
We got Frankie Peppers today.
Yeah, give me a Frankie Peppers. I'm in Arizona. It'll cheer me up even more. I'm leaving the sunny paradise.
Here we go. Frankie, let LFGM feeling good after today's win.
Gentlemen, how you doing? It is Frankie Peppers. What more can you say after such a deflating loss? On Wednesday, the boys coming back and doing what they need to do. On Thursday, really good stuff. Pretty encouraging when you could get punched in the mouth and come right back on up. Because, after Wednesday night, it's like, take me off the grill, I'm cooked. And that one from my son. But after a win like today, you're feeling pretty good. I saw my doctor, by the way. He told me to eat less salt, but otherwise everything is fine. So I heard your concern for me last time, so I appreciate it. So next dinner we have together when the pod drops, I'll have to make something a little less salty. James, Mark, you tell me what you want. I'll make it. And I'll post it on Twitter just so you know. I can show you that we ate dinner together. Appreciate you boys as always. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. Frankie Peppers, 100 more years. Frankie, if you're listening, I want to see a bolognese.
Ooh, I was going to go sausage and peppers, Frankie Peppers.
I guess that's true. But all right, fine. You could pick between those two things. Nice traditional Italian meal.
Sausage and peppers, bolognese. I'm glad to hear that you're taking care of your health, Frankie. We can't let you. We need you on this earth as long as physically possible.
100 more years,
national
Frankie.
Treasure. 100 more years of Frankie Peppers. 100 more years of the Mets'd podcast. And beat the fucking piss out of the White Sox. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching this episode. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel so you can see our pretty faces. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
I'm Draftneck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you after we annihilate the Chicago White Sox. Peace out.
Let's go Mets, baby. Happy Labor Day, everybody.